I am out of the 49ers locker room on the field here in Philadelphia. This is where it happened. The 49ers, a 42-19 annihilation of the Eagles, completely rewriting the script from what happened here in January. The NFC title game, Brock Purdy got hurt. The 49ers, he's heard Brandon Ayuk say it, would have blown them out, he said, if Brock Purdy hadn't gotten hurt. You heard Deebo Samuel talking a bunch over the course of the past year. The 49ers verified that stuff. They, I think, made a good statement that it was indeed true. They blew out the Eagles because Brock Purdy was healthy. Brock Purdy was able to distribute the football to the 49ers playmakers, and they have more of those than any other team in the NFL. I mean, at this point, I don't think it's really close as far as team quality goes between the 49ers and number 2 in the league. They're going to be heavy Super Bowl favorites starting right now. I mean, they already were Super Bowl favorites, but what they did to Philadelphia today was eminently impressive. Talk about the 49ers locker room. I was just in there. First things first, first guy I ran into was Christian McCaffrey. I haven't seen Christian McCaffrey this happy after a win, and this goes back to me covering him at Stanford. Christian McCaffrey was just buzzing, and he told me about the wheel route, a phenomenal throw from Brock Purdy. The ball was waiting for Christian McCaffrey as he came out of his break, and they had actually talked about that on the sideline right before they ran it. Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey both noticed something about how Philadelphia was defending that play, so they made a minor adjustment, and that minor adjustment allowed Brock Purdy to throw the ball before Christian came out of his break. And when you throw a ball perfectly before a receiver comes out of his break, it's literally unguardable. I mean, this is Joe Montana, Jerry Rice level stuff, Steve Young, Jerry Rice level stuff. The communication that's happening on the sideline to make on-the-fly adjustments, and then the level of accuracy that Brock Purdy is dealing with, and then obviously the athleticism and the detail that Christian McCaffrey is bringing to the table, the chemistry. This is high-level stuff that the 49ers are delivering. 6 touchdown drives in a row is something that you only see once every few years in the NFL. The 49ers not only scored 6 in a row, but they did it with a lot of pressure on them. I'm standing on the sideline right now where that altercation happened between the Eagles security guard and Dre Greenlaw. And this stadium, Lincoln Financial Field, was getting loud. This is a house of horrors. This is a really tough place to win a football game, especially when the crowd is into it, as they were after that Dre Greenlaw play. Well, the 49ers continued putting the hammer down offensively. They exposed a mediocre Philadelphia defense. It's definitely not as good of a defense as it was last year for the Eagles. And it just goes to show you the offense is the engine of this team, but boy, the defense is pretty damn good too. It's the best overall team in the NFL that put on a statement here on the field in Philadelphia. I mean, a lot of the talk in the 49ers locker room was, yeah, I think we're pretty damn good when we actually have a quarterback, right? That so many people had tried to argue against that one very basic point. The reason they lost the NFC Championship game was because Brock Purdy got hurt, point blank. So many people try to be all cute with that and try to say, no, well, actually the Eagles did this and did that. You don't do any of that, or you don't do most of it at least, if the 49ers had a healthy quarterback. That's the most important position. It makes everything else run. Domino effect, right? Everything is connected. Offense, defense, special teams. It's complementary football, and the 49ers' lifeblood is complementary football. So Trent Williams was like, yeah, I think we're pretty damn good when we have a quarterback. George Kittle, similar kind of joke. Javon Kinlaw today, I think he was credited with 2 sacks. After the NFC Championship game, it was morose in that locker room. I was there, obviously. I remember Talanoa Hufanga was in tears. I mean, just looking for people to console him. Javon Kinlaw at his locker, when I talked to him after the NFC Championship game, he was still playing hurt. He wasn't at full strength last year. He was sad after that game, but I remember him telling me, we're going to be back here and I'm going to be better, and this is just the beginning. I'm turning this around. And a lot of people at the time, if they had heard that, I hadn't shared that story before from Javon Kinlaw, but if a lot of people had heard it at the time, they would say, no, that's not going to happen. Javon Kinlaw is not going to step up for the 49ers. He might not even be on the team next year. I'm sure people would have said that. I'm talking to Javon Kinlaw today in this locker room in Philadelphia, and he says, hey, I remember our conversation from last year. Remember what I told you? And I said, yeah, you told me you're going to be back and you're going to have a big game here. And he did. He had 2 sacks. The 49ers defense kept them in this game early. That was so huge, right? Early on, the 49ers offense went 3 and out twice. People freaked out way too much about those 2 drives. The offense simply, I mean, if you don't perform on first down against the defense that's as aggressive as Philadelphia's, it's going to be bad, because they're going to pin their ears back and they're going to rush the passer and they're going to play the game on their terms, and you're going to go 3 and out. I mean, that's what happened early in this game. It's not like the 49ers had a game's worth of offensive troubles, but they had 2 drives worth of offensive troubles. And if their defense hadn't held up the way that it did while that was happening, Philadelphia could have built a huge game and could have built a huge lead and changed the complexion of this game. But Charvarius Ward had that awesome pass breakup against A.J. Brown. There were some missed tackles from the 49ers. I know there were some big gainers on third down from Philadelphia. They started 4 or 5 on third down. And, you know, there was some bending from the 49ers defense, but they didn't break. They didn't break in the red zone. And they held Philly to 2 field goals. And then that set the table for the 49ers offense to see that first completion, see the first down, and then they got rolling. Brock Purdy said he needed to visualize a completion, so he made that pass to to Brandon Ayuk. Brock Purdy did, and once that happened, he started rolling. And then the offense supported the defense, and it was a repayment of the defense supporting the offense over the first couple drives. Big sack. I guess they credited the one what we thought was credited to Eric Armstead, to Javon Kinlaw. That's why he had 2. And then there was the play where Jalen Hurts held onto the ball and fell down, and Kinlaw tagged him down. So coverage and rush fueled each other. I thought Ambry Thomas played a really good game today. I mean, everybody has to play a solid game for the 49ers to do what they did against the Eagles. 42-19, the final score. I'm just looking up at that scoreboard, which is there behind me. 42-19, you hold a top 5 Philadelphia offense to under 20 points, and you hang a 40 burger on this Eagles defense that was so dominant with its pass rush last year. But to be honest, some of the talk in the 49ers locker room, they weren't impressed with the Eagles defense. They have a good defensive line, they said, but linebacker-wise, DB-wise, we heard Debo and Brandon Ayuk talk about that all offseason. The back 7 for Philly, not impressive. The D-line for Philly is impressive, but I think it's taken a tick down. Javon Hargraves on the 49ers side now, he was happy in the locker room. And the fact that the 49ers have the weaponry to expose the back end, all they need is the quarterback to be able to distribute the football. And that's why Brock Purdy is your strongest NFL MVP candidate in a rational world. I know a lot of people aren't rational. We're going to be rational here when we talk about 49ers football. They are now 9-3. They're still a game behind Philadelphia, but the Eagles have to go to Dallas now, and I think their pride for sure is going to be wounded. We'll see how wounded they are as a football team leaving this football game. Cross-country flight for the 49ers. For me too, back home to the Bay Area, where Seattle will visit next week. So the 49ers have a chance to essentially seal the NFC West. Maybe not officially next week, but for all intents and purposes, they can do that. You got to be ready to bounce back, though. They have to make sure that there is not a hangover after this Philadelphia game, because the NFL is a week-to-week football league. And the 49ers have a divisional game coming up against the Seattle Seahawks. So again, from Philadelphia, 49ers 42, Eagles 19, just a resounding dominant win. As dominant of a victory and as resounding of a statement as you will see in the National Football League. That really was something what the 49ers put on the Philadelphia Eagles today.